Hey everybody, this is Tim Mai, and I have my good friend and mentor, I call him a friend tour, Chuy here with me today. Yeah, you know, I want to introduce you to Chuy, and I'm going to interview Chuy today on, you know, how he got started in apartment investing. So, you know, with that, you share with everyone, like, what are some of your best ways, your best techniques, or best secrets to finding these deals?
One thing I love, which is what you're great at teaching people how to do, is wholesalers. Wholesalers rock. They do, and you know, we're all in this together. You know, it's just it's really cool how they can go do their thing, sending out their postcards and all the wonderful things that you teach, and then they find the deals, and you know, everybody's different. What's great is I might buy a deal that you may not buy, and the next guy may not buy, and so you get to know what everybody wants. And I tell folks what I'm looking for, and so these wholesalers say, "Hey, Chuy, I got another deal. You want this?" And then here's a key. They'll be very respectful of wholesalers' time, because they're under a time constraint.
That's right.
So I don't say yes if I don't mean yes. I say, let me go look at the deal, and I'll tell you right away if it makes sense for me or not. And then sometimes I'll have to say no, and often I say no. You know, you see more bad deals than you see good deals. So, you know, I just tell them, man, this one's not for me. Good luck. Keep marketing, and if I think of somebody who might be good for it, I'll let you know. So that's
wholesalers one.
Yeah. Realtors. A lot of people don't like realtors. And I'm
actually starting to love realtors now.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I've been getting deals and buyers from them. So
yeah, I became a realtor. I have a broker's license because after doing bigger and bigger deals, I started seeing those big chunks of commission checks going on. Man, that could be me if I'm so I like realtors, and what I started doing, if I found a deal that I wasn't going to buy, I could tell the owner, I'm not going to buy this, but you want me to list this for you? Maybe I can sell it. And so it was just another tool in my tool bag to work with, and still being a problem solver. You know, I'm still helping this person even though I'm not going to buy it. The other real powerful thing right now is just using your technology. What's available on the internet is amazing. I have sites that I go to that I set my parameters of things I like to look at and the kind of properties that work for me, and I'll just be walking around with my kids doing something, and I'll get a text message from it saying, here's an alert, this new property just went up and it fits your criteria. And literally a couple months ago, I bought an apartment complex that very way. It was from an alert, and I called the guy, and I was able to jump on it before other investors.
Share with us really quickly, like, what are some of the numbers on that property?
It was surprisingly in nice shape physically, but it was losing money, and it was because the owner had passed away, and his family members just weren't operating it. It happens a lot, right? People, that's not what they do. So it sat there, and every time there was a vacancy, it would sit, and then 80% occupied, 70% occupied, 50% occupied. It just kept going downhill. So at that point, you know, I was able to buy it because it was a negative cash flow for only about $10,000 a unit. So imagine buying
it's cheap.
$250,000 buying a 25-unit apartment complex. It's pretty neat. You know, you go into some neighborhoods here in Houston, and people pay that for a duplex. You know?
Yeah, no kidding.
So, yeah.
How many units?
25.
25 units. And you got it for $10,000 a unit, so $250,000. That's pretty darn good.
It really was neat, and I found that with a wholesaler. That was the deal that I said was online, and I got triggered a message.
So at the end of this deal, I guess your plan is to keep this long term?
Yeah, I want to keep this.
Okay. So when everything is all said and done, and you get the occupancy back up, what are you estimating would be your monthly cash flow on this property?
Okay, well, that's a great question. So the average rent is $500 a month. So I always like to figure 90% occupancy for stabilization, because everyone knows you don't sit at 100%. People are going to move out, and you move someone back in, and you do it as fast as you can. But so if you had 100% occupancy at $12,500 a month average. That's about, what is that? About 12,500 a month, I think.
Yeah.
Y'all can do the math with your calculator at home. But I think it's about 12,500. So then you take 10% off that, and that's for your vacancy allowance. So let's say we're collecting gross about $10,000 a month.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's gross.
Right,
it sounds awesome. So don't get too excited yet. A lot of people will go, "This is a cash cow. I'm collecting $10,000 a month." Well, that would be nice, but you've got property taxes, insurance, and
so what are you guesstimating net would be? So
traditionally, that type of property, the net ends up being about 50% of your gross. So my net operating income, NOI, is what that would be called after you take your expenses off, would be about $5,000, and that is your mortgage payment and your profit. That's what's left when you take off the expenses.
Okay.
NOI is going to mortgage payment and profit.
Okay. So let's just say that you finance the $250,000. Then that means then half of your net. So like so first is half of the $10,000 is $5,000 left for your mortgage and your profit. And so if your mortgage is half of that, then you end up with $2,500 net. Just a rough.
It's exactly perfectly the little recipe I followed, the way that deal worked, because another piece to it is, so yes, you're correct, you take the 10, cut it in half for expenses, as a rule of thumb, guys. I mean, we're not,
right.
every place is case by case, but in general, that puts us at $5,000 gross. But remember, I bought it for $250,000,
right?
And so that's where you're taking $2,500 away. It leaves me $2,500. But there's a step in there that had us figure out why $2,500, and it's a 25-unit complex. So one of my little rules is I want to be making at least $100 a unit. Okay, so now those of y'all that focus on houses, you can make more than that on a house. You can make 2, 3, 4, whatever. There's no one set number, obviously. But for apartments, it's almost not worth the hassle if you can at least make $100 a unit. So like in that example, I said, okay, I've got $5,000 NOI. I need to walk away with at least $2,500 each month. So if I'm taking the $2,500 each month, that leaves me $2,500 for my note payment. So the max I can pay, is going to be about $250,000. And so fortunately, that worked within what they were asking for.
Right.
So there's a lot of people that would say, "Are you kidding me? I want $600,000 for that deal. It collects $10,000 a month." Well, I hope you get it, but it doesn't work for my numbers.
Right. So let's run these numbers again, because it's I like to compare it with the single family homes, right? So like, where can you go buy a $250,000 house and make $2,500 a month net on it? Probably like nowhere. To me, like, that's extremely hard to do.
I'll tell you honestly, it's possible. It's not probable, but it's possible. Now imagine if I have that one vacancy on a $250,000 house. Now I'm in the hole $2,500 to come out of my pocket for that mortgage, and that hurts. So if I have one vacancy extra at a complex, it's not that big of a hit. You're losing $500 in there, but you're collecting close to $10,000. It's going to maybe eat into the profit for that month, but ideally, if you're buying the property at the right price, it's not eating into your ability to make your mortgage payments.
Right. So awesome. So this is 25 units is not like a very big complex, right? It would be considered as small in the apartment world, right?
Yes.
And so here's a little deal, 25 units, that would make you $2,500 a month for as long as you want to keep this property. And I know, like, your investing styles, you like to own properties free and clear and pass it on to your kids.
Yes.
Right? And so I mean, when we're looking at deals like these, we're talking about like generations of income, generations of wealth that's building onto these.
Yes. Yeah. When I started, those initial owner finance notes that I got and bankers, in those days, when you were doing a commercial loan, they would ask you, what do you want, 10 or 15 year? And you would think, am I going to pay this off in 10 years or am I going to pay this off in 15 years? And if you're feeling tight on cash flow, you say, oh, please give me the 15-year note so I have more cash flow. And if you're feeling solid on your cash flow, you say, give me the 10-year note so I can pay it off quicker. But I always ask for the longer term because I figured I want the choice to pay it off faster if I wanted to, but I have the backup plan of being smaller on my payments. But let me tell you something. Now, I have all these people buying, I know people buying commercial deals on 30-year notes. And there's a mindset, there's no right or wrong, but there's a mindset about we don't ever care about paying it off. We just want the cash flow. You know, as long as this place cash flows what I want to cash flow every month, that note could sit there all my life, and that's okay.
Cool.
So, different strokes for different folks. You know,
Right.
I personally am into the mindset of getting to the free and clear point.
Awesome, awesome. And we're gonna sort of take a step back a little bit. You know, talking about the different ways to find deals. Earlier you shared with me, you know, a really cool way, and I think it's probably like one of the best ways to find deals is through banks. Could you share that?
Yeah. So a lot of my deals have been REOs, which stands for real estate owned properties, right? So when a bank forecloses on a place that forecloses on Mr. Smith, it's no longer Mr. Smith's house, it's now Mr. Banker's house. So he owns that, and they do not want that. They do not want to own property, and it makes them really look bad on their numbers. So all bankers are really motivated to get the REOs off their books. So when I got started, I used to go and talk to bankers and ask them, hey, do you have any REOs? And a few of them would say, yeah, go take a look at this property. And so I just was doing it casually. Then I learned a really, really great point, and I'm going to share this tip with you guys. A lot of folks don't realize before a property is foreclosed on, Mr. Banker really rather already know who's going to buy it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I used to think the guy's in default, the place gets foreclosed, now the property gets put up to be marketed. Well, that's done with a lot of folks, but I started meeting bankers that would say, hey, Chuy, I got a guy, he's really behind on his payments. Go take a look. If you like that property, we'll go ahead and foreclose and let you be the owner and take it on. You know? And a lot of times, they're willing to just have you work with the existing loan that's there. They just want their loan to get serviced again. So that opened my eyes to a whole other arena that I didn't even know was there. And once again, it's problem solving. You're walking in telling this banker, you got any problems on your hands or problems that you foresee with somebody that you might need to foreclose on. And if it's an apartment complex or if it's a warehouse or whatever your criteria is, you let them know what you'd like to buy. And then they'll say, well, I don't have one right now, but next time I get one, I'm going to think of you and call you. And sometimes they'll say, yeah, here's my list of them. Go for it. Go take a look and let me know. So why is that powerful? You're finding out about it before it's ever listed with anybody.
Right.
You know, so one of the ways is with realtors, which is great, but you're now chasing a deal that everyone else knows. And this other one is it's really nice to be able to find out about something before anyone else.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so we're gonna wrap up this interview now, and and I want to end with, if you can share with everyone, just sort of, help people to get over the fear of getting started in apartment investing. And and so like what's your what do you want to leave them with that would have them like, man, I can still do these deals. Let me get on this, and let me watch more videos from Chuy, and also too, it's like, I just want to hint to you guys, right? Our team here at Prosperity and Chuy are gonna be doing an event here pretty soon. We'll share more with you at later videos, but yeah, like share with them like what tip would that be, or what insight, or that would have them all fired up and like go buy an apartment building.
All right. So here's what comes to my mind when you ask that question. Sometimes we're looking at such a huge task, right? and we want to have it all mapped out. And the way I think about it is, I'm from El Paso, Texas, so I drive home about 12 hours from Houston sometimes, and imagine if I had the fear of not starting till I could see till I got there, exactly what's going to happen. Well, of course you can't see from here to El Paso. You can only see as far as you can see. And so you take action with as far as you can see. And then when you get there, remember, when you get from A to B to C, I think of it as green lights. I got the next green light. Okay, then I'm going to hit a red light. Okay, I got to stop here. What am I going to do at this red light? And you, if you don't know, you reach out to resources and people that have already done the deal. And so they go from deal to deal, from step to step, like C, D. As you're progressing, what you see when you're at point C is different than what you see when you're at point A.
Right.
So you're trying to see this whole. It's kind of like what's in the valley, but you're trying to see what's in the valley from a place that you can't see. So as you move up the ladder a bit and you look down, you have a new perspective on things. And so you're no longer the same person you were before you did your first deal.
So here's another property that we want to share with you about. Chuy doesn't actually own this property, but there's a story behind this.
A friend of mine bought this.
Oh, okay.
And I want to tell you what was really, really powerful about it is I used to run a lot, and he was a running buddy. Like, so he said he wanted to start buying rental properties. And I said, okay, that's wonderful. Well, one day he comes up to me and says, I finally got my first deal. I said, all right, great, what'd you buy? And he said, I bought a 23-unit apartment complex. And I'm like, for your first rental property? That's awesome, that's amazing. And, it was so beautiful to see him step right into a 23-unit apartment complex, because so many of us think, got to start with a little house and then another little house, and wherever you are, there's no right or wrong way, but it's amazing what's possible. Anything's possible, and he had the training and the confidence to look at the deal and say, I can do this, and went for it. So I'm always inspired when I think about him.
And the good news is that, Chuy and I are investors. We're always out here looking for deals to buy. And so, so part of this training too is to give you guys an opportunity to partner up with us on deals. If there's deals that either too big for you or you don't know how to do it and you want to quick sell it to us, you certainly could do that as well. And we'll share with you all more about that at later videos. But with that, I want to thank you so much for watching, and Chuy, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, sharing your experience with everyone.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.